of love. I praise my life, I raise my life in the name of love. I praise my life, I raise my life in the name of love. I praise myself, I raise myself in the name of love. I praise myself, I raise myself in the name of love.
Good evening and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake. I'm so delighted that you're here. And I want to begin today with our land acknowledgement. So we're honored to work, live, and play within the city of Toronto on the historical and traditional territory of many Indigenous nations, including the Anishinaabe and Wendat peoples, and more recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit and Haudenosaunee nations. And as we gather from many places on Turtle Island, we as settlers are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We acknowledge the Indigenous stewards of this land. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this place. We also recognize the contributions of Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous people that have been made, and both in shaping and strengthening our community, our province, and our country. And by making this acknowledgement, we strive to be allies and take an active part in reconciliation by honoring the land, the history, and the unique Indigenous heritage of our First People. We recognize our oneness, we realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. We are one. Miigwech. And our vision is transforming humanity through the emergence of the sacred, authentic self. Now let us join together and listen to this music as it leads us into our meditation.
We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy.
And it is in this wholeness, in this place of divine oneness, that we acknowledge and recognize this infinite power and presence. My life harmonizes with the song of the One, expanding, awakening, and being all that I was created to be. My heart is open. My mind is clear. What I know in this moment is that the power and presence of this divine one is infinitely creative. It is intelligent, everywhere present, all-knowing, all-powerful. So I relax into this moment and know that I am created unique and special, that something about me, something about every individual is special, remarkable, is a glorious gift. And that from a place of allowing that internal song to be rung out loud, something beautiful to share, something remarkable occurs. My heart is lifted and my mind is clear. So I know today that all that is necessary and needed is here and now. So taking a deep breath in, relaxing the body, calming the mind, and preparing space for today's message, for today's experience. I allow myself to connect with that energy within, that unique and precious idea of who and what I am, that aspect of being that is mine alone. Acknowledging that this is the truth for everyone. Each person coming into life with something remarkable to share. And in finding the gift, giving it voice. Allowing that song within to be felt, known, experienced, and expressed. This is the journey. So filled with peace and love, with gratitude and grace, I take these ideas, I take this moment, and I release it into the divine mind. All is well. And so it is.
Living life to find a balance, and I will rise up to the challenge when I need to, 'cause everything I need is right inside me, and what is behind me doesn't define me. And as my consciousness awakes, I've forgiven my mistakes. I'm living my truth. It's what I choose. Feel the fear and do it anyways. You can move the mountains. Don't even hesitate. Do the things that make you most afraid. Every scar is a lesson. I'm learning to be brave. And you're not wrong for living loud. You're standing strong, you won't back down. When they need you, trouble arising, you keep on smiling. Your confidence shining brighter than lightning. And as my consciousness awakes, I've forgiven my mistakes. I'm living my truth. It's what I choose. Feel the fear and do it anyways. You can move the mountains. Don't even hesitate. Do the things that make you most afraid. Every scar is a lesson. I'm learning to be brave. You are unshakable. You're standing tall when things get in the way. You're ready, and you will be okay. Feel the fear and do it anyway. You can move the mountains. Don't even hesitate. Do the things that make you most afraid. Every scar is a lesson. I'm learning to be brave. I'm learning to be brave.
So today's talk is the internal song, and every one of us has it. There's something inside of us that calls us to a bigger life than maybe what we're currently living, something that is really remarkable. And we might choose to ignore it. Some of us do. And some of us choose to step in and really pay attention and listen to that calling, that yearning. One such person that really listened and listened well was, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. And today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And he did a speech called, "I Have Decided to Stick with Love." And I wanted to start by sharing an excerpt from that speech. He said, "I'm concerned about a better world. I'm concerned about justice. I'm concerned about humanity. I'm concerned about truth. And when one is concerned about that, he can never advocate violence. I say to you, I've always decided to stick with love. For I know that love is ultimately the only answer." You got that, right? The only answer to humankind's problems. "If you are seeking the highest good, I think you can find it through love. Anyone who has love has the key that unlocks the door to the meaning of ultimate reality." What I'm trying to get you to see is that a person may be self-centered in his self-denial and self-righteousness, in his self-sacrifice. His generosity may feed his ego, and his piety maybe feeds his pride. However, without love, benevolence becomes egotism, and martyrdom becomes spiritual pride. This I know, that each of us is an activity of God as love. We are love, each responding uniquely to Spirit's call, being the living embodiment of oneness. Each of us leaning on our living oneness, being love, being peace, doing our part to transform the world. Martin Luther King Jr. stood for some grand possibilities. He had a great vision, and his vision still holds true today. He's still acknowledged and recognized for the work that he did, even though he was cut down so early in life. What he stood for, what his message still stands for, is the idea of our oneness, but also the idea that love is the answer regardless of the situation or the question. And also that within each one of us, there is a calling. There is a song inside of us that is whispering and moving through our body, mind, and soul constantly and continuously, pushing, prodding, pulling, trying to get us to participate in life, trying to get us to be who we were created to be. Unfortunately, many of us have listened to the messages of parents and siblings and aunts and uncles and teachers and media and whoever, and decided that playing small was a safer bet, that somehow standing in our truth would be too big a price to pay. So we listen to those old tapes that run. I know every now and again I'll say something with my kids and I go, whoa, that's my mom talking through me, right? We've got this stuff running in the background that is so deep within us that it sort of causes us to ignore that song, that beauty, that grace, that goodness that we are. There's something inside of us that is playing small and limited because we'd rather fit in than stand out. And I'm here to tell you, standing out is a much better idea. As you listen to the call of that inner voice, that divine guidance within you, what happens is you begin to live a life that's far beyond maybe what's been happening so far. But it's never too late. It's never too late. One of the things that we do in allowing ourselves to become all that we could be is we practice spiritual mind treatment, and treatment allows us to begin to quiet the ego so that the divine can be heard, that still small voice, that essence of us can come forward. We allow ourselves to, when we notice, when we become aware of the stories that we're telling ourselves, the stories that are going on, when we become aware of it, we can quiet it down. and go, whoa, no, 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 I don't believe that anymore. But there's stuff below the surface that we're not acknowledging. And it's so loud sometimes that it makes it impossible for us to hear that internal song. But it's there. It's there. And it's whispering. It's whispering in our ear moment by moment, calling us to step out of our familiar place and step into a bigger arena, something that demands our greatness rather than our mediocrity, something that forces us to be what we were created to be rather than to play small and insignificant. We're on a journey, and the journey is something that we have the power to create in any way that we choose, that we would like. And treatment is one of the ways that we can sort of rewire our thinking so that we can do something bigger and brighter and be more powerful in what we do and clearer. And sometimes we don't know, right? We've been told things all our lives, so we don't really know who we are. And we can use treatment for that as well, where we sit back and we tell ourselves, in treatment that I am clear. I clearly see my next steps. I clearly know who I am. And I stand in truth moment by moment, loving, appreciating, acknowledging, and admiring all that I am, sharing my gifts and talents with love and light and peace and joy. And for this, I'm grateful. That affirmation then brings forth anything that is ready to be revealed. It allows us to begin to see below the surface, below the ego consciousness, so that we can arrive at that place of power and possibility, that place of divine awareness of our oneness with this infinite creator. You see, there is a power for good in the universe, and it's being us. And we can use it consciously or unconsciously. And I know many of us have done an unconscious job of it quite well for a long time. But maybe it's time to become aware, to stand in our power and really reveal the mighty force that's within, and allow ourselves to stand up and stand out and be seen and heard and acknowledged and recognized and valued. And of course, it all begins within us, right? As I value me, the value comes forth and shows up around. As I honor and respect myself, I begin to receive honor and respect outwardly. The journey that we're on is one of awakening, emerging into that sacred, authentic self, being who we were created to be. Our thoughts are kind of a collection of our personal experiences. And they're the unconscious thoughts of humanity, right? There is only, when we think about the fact that there's only one thing, okay, there's only one thing going on. Every one of us thinks in and out of the very same mind. We think out of the same place. So whatever's known in one point in space can be known in another. So when we come to recognize that, we start to realize that some of the stuff that's going on inside of us is part of the collective consciousness. It's not just ours. It's that race consciousness. It's the consciousness of the family we were raised in, or the city, or the country, or within the global awareness at this time of whatever's going on. If we buy into the mass hysteria, the trauma, the pain, the difficulties of the last few years, if we're labeling all of that as bad and terrible, awful, wrong, our life then reflects from that consciousness. You see, we've created a mental equivalent. We've created a container that goes, life sucks right now. And guess what? It does. Because I created a container called that. And so the universe fills it. It's so exact. It's remarkable. It's so exact. So what we want to do is we want to shift our thinking. We want to shift our perception of reality. We want to catch ourselves when we're thinking negatively, when we're thinking about what's bad and wrong, and when we begin to open up to the idea that there is something remarkable happening. And each one of us has the ability, the power, the presence to be fully realized. Not someday, but now. Not when this or that or the other thing occurs, but now. Now is the point of power. Now is the place where we can choose. You see, I'm the one thinking my thoughts, and you're the one thinking yours. And it is that thinking that has produced the container that spirit is filling. And it's filling it with whatever I focus on. So if I'm focused on fear, doubt, worry, that's what gets filled. More and more and more of the same. However, if I notice that life is a bit difficult in some ways, and I go, hey, wait a minute, let me fix that. I interrupt my negativity. It's like my garden, when the weeds start coming up after I've planted my lovely vegetables, I go out and I pull the weeds out. In consciousness, we need to remove that negative thinking. We need to stop judging, criticizing ourselves and others so that we can begin to flourish in the freedom, the joy, the love, the peace, that we can be like the people who've come before us, like the Martin Luther Kings and the Mahatma Gandhis, the people who have stood for something, Nelson Mandela, the people who stand in a greater vision for our world and maybe get cut down for it. But the impact is remarkable. It's a life well lived. A life well lived is a life that touches life, that honors not only the self, but all others. You see, we're in this together. Whatever I've done to me, I've done to you, right? There's only one thing going on. And so we want to really check in and make sure that we are living our best life, that we are honoring all life everywhere, that we're seeing this universal family as our family, not strangers, not somebody different than us, but a part of us, one with us. And as we begin knowing the truth of who we are and recognizing that in the eyes of the divine, there's only growth. There can only ever be growth. There's only good. There's an ever expanding experience. And anything unlike that really can be dismissed easily because the power of love, that power of oneness, is so strong that it can easily eradicate anything unlike itself. Because the truth is this one infinite potential. So when we think about life, like sometimes we think about, oh, I don't have enough, and I don't get the opportunities other people get, and I start to doubt, and I'm living in this place of limitation. Then of course limitation is the only thing that can show up. There is only abundance. There is only abundance. So what we want to do is we want to create a container that is an abundance container, a container that says yes to life, a container that is constantly being filled with beauty, with love, with joy, with celebration, something that honors who we are, but honors all life everywhere, a place where we can really shine in our own way, whatever that looks like, because we all have our own unique way of being. So when we think thoughts of abundance, when we think about, possibility and opportunity, we begin to raise our vibration level and we begin to attract more and more of the same. When we think about illness and disease and we're worried about catching this or catching that, what we're doing is we're aligning ourselves with disease, right? And whether we get sick or not, we might find that we're limited in some other way. But what we want to do is align ourselves with health. begin to think about our body, our world, our entire physical experience as something that is filled with love and joy and peace and well-being, that our body is a collection of cells, and all of those cells are beautiful, remarkable, healthy, and vibrant. We want to see ourselves and our world in a new light. We want to stop complaining and start praising. We can praise, we don't have to complain. So when we think and believe that there isn't enough love for us, that somehow we don't have enough, people supporting us or being around us, then we want to recognize our oneness with the divine, and that in this vast ocean of possibility, all that we have need of exists. All of it is there. We live in the realm of possibility. We live in this place of love, beauty, grace, and peace. And all we need to do is acknowledge it for ourselves. All we need to do is open our minds and hearts. And so spiritual mind treatment is such a powerful way to do that. And it's so simple. It's so simple. We start by acknowledging that there's a power in the universe that's good. That's easy. And then we acknowledge that if that's the only thing that exists, well, it must be here, so I must be one with it. That's pretty easy. And then I acknowledge that, well, I affirm, I am health, I am love, I am abundance, I am divinely guided, I am clear, positive, creative. So that's easy. I make an affirmative statement of whatever it is I desire. And then gratitude, I am so grateful. And release, I let it go. And so it is. There's a formula to treatment that allows us to begin to see a new reality, to begin to create a new reality. I have had the distinct privilege and honor of working with people who have had different experiences in their lives that have been very challenging for them. And I've watched them heal beautifully, quickly, easily, remarkably through the use of spiritual mind treatment. It is a powerful tool, one that works amazingly well. And when you see it, when you start working with it, like when I was a practitioner and I worked with my dear friend who was dying of AIDS, and he healed. And another person who'd had a major heart attack, and a week later, they said, wait a minute, you have a perfectly healthy heart. You have the heart of a teenager. How does that happen? I don't know. All I know is our bodies are built by our minds. Our world is built by our mind. The experiences we're having, built by our minds. Our minds are the infinite powerful tool that we possess, that we can use, that we can choose how to focus it, where to focus it, and we can create a mental equivalent that will allow us to live life in a much different way than maybe we have been. That maybe by changing our thinking, we will change our lives. Maybe by changing our thinking, we change our world. Food for thought. So we need to consider what our mental equivalent is, right? We have to do that individually. And it's not to go, oh, I'm so bad because I was thinking lack thoughts, or I was fearful of getting sick and now I'm sick. No. We don't do that. We don't blame. We don't shame. We don't do any of that. What we acknowledge is, wow, I may have bought into the collective consciousness here. Let me extricate myself from that. Let me choose instead to create my own container. I don't need to believe what my family believes. I don't need to believe what the people in the city of Toronto believe, or the country of Canada, or the world for that matter. I can choose for myself. I'm a powerful creative being, one with this infinite source, and I can choose for myself. So I'm going to look at my life and I'm going to take stock. I do that at the beginning of every year. I take stock. What's working? What isn't? Where do I feel blocked or stopped? Not to shame myself or beat myself up about it, but rather to become aware. Awareness is a powerful thing. So I become aware of what's working and what isn't, and then I align my energy in another direction. So what I do is I go into meditation, contemplation, I journal, I explore my mind to see What's going on? Where am I worried or fearful? Where might I be feeling disconnected? And I reconnect myself through the power of love. And love means oneness. We live in a world that is just so remarkable, and we can create it any way we like. And what's fascinating is when we get fully in alignment with the universe, things begin to unfold and happen in ways that seem miraculous, but really all it is the natural outpicturing of the law. Each one of us. So we can decide, we can create our lives. So if we are looking at, wanting a new house, well, let us imagine what that means. So we're not going to treat for a new house. We're going to treat for comfort, safety, and security, and, a refuge, a retreat, a sanctuary. We might treat for comfort. Right? And then think about how you would feel emotionally if you have that beautiful new space that is your sanctuary, your sacred safe haven. And that might bring you joy and calm and peace, whatever it is. That's what we treat about. We don't treat about four walls. We treat about what that means to us. When we're treating about the power of home and what that means, we want to go deeper than just four walls and a roof. It's so much more than that. So we take time to really honor the journey that we're on and to explore what it means to us. We want to, whatever it is that we want to do treatment about, whatever it is we want to create our container around, we want to really look at what does it mean to me? What does it mean to my life to do this, to have this, to be this? What does it mean? What does it hold for me? And does it support all life? Is it supportive of the infinite one? See, whatever I do for me must be done in a consciousness that is honoring of all life everywhere, not just mine. Everything I think, say, and do has to make sure that it's also good in the world around me. And what I've come to understand is that, well, number one, I'm never alone. And regardless of what's happening in the world around me, I am having an experience of life and living, and I'm having it in conjunction with everybody else. And as we begin to look at the experience we're having, I don't want to sugarcoat it or pretend it isn't happening if something difficult is going on, but rather to acknowledge it and to be with it and to sit with it and to know that I have the ability to move through it and that I am doing that not alone, but I'm doing it with. And this is such an important part of the equation, is that there is only one thing going on. There is only one power in the universe. Each one of us lives, moves, and has our being in it. Whether we're aware of it or not is irrelevant. We live and move and have our being in it. Everything we think, say, and do is in the one. Everything we think, say, and do impacts the whole. It's like hearing that a butterfly flapping its wings in the rainforest will affect the weather in Russia. A butterfly. Imagine the power of our thoughts, our movements, our experiences. See, we're not separate. We're not an island of ourselves. We are part of a whole. It's like my finger is my finger, but it's part of my hand. If it gets removed from my hand, it no longer operates. All of it is connected. And so it is with all of us. So we come to understand that we are in this together, that we are supporting each other in moving through whatever challenges, situations, difficulties, whatever come up, we're working together. And if we can see that truth, if we can come to understand that, we begin to train ourselves in a way that allows us to acknowledge our human family, our animal family, the plant family, the insect family. It's all one. We are one with Mother Earth. We are one with each other. There is no separation at any point in space. There's simply energy showing up in individualized forms, but that doesn't mean it's separate. It's all one. And that internal song that we have is pulling, prodding, moving us, trying to get our attention sometimes so that we can stand out rather than fitting in, settling for, going, well, I should do this or I should do that. The reality is we should not do anything. Don't should on yourself. It's not healthy. It's not good. So it's time for us to really take a look at our lives and decide what to do, and to be a bold expression, right? Be bold in your life. Stand up and say what you mean and mean what you say. Tell the truth and do it quickly, even if it's unpopular. Allow yourself to state clearly with conviction that there is one life and it's your life right now, here today, not someday, not if and when, but now. That it's not going to happen, but step forward in life with confidence, knowing that everything that is necessary to create a fulfilling and satisfying life, you already have it. You came in with it. You do not need to be fixed. You're not broken. There's nothing about you that's wrong and bad, that merely a misunderstanding of the truth of your being might be the only thing that needs to be corrected. Awakening to who you really are, standing in a place of power and truth, going yes to life. That's where we want to live. We're always working in the realm of thought. And so we have to remind ourselves often that we are practitioners, even if we haven't had the training yet. Ernest Holmes said that conscious trained thought is more powerful than unconscious untrained thought. This is why we take classes, so we can train ourselves, so we can come to understand in a deeper way who I am, what I am, where I'm going, what's necessary, what's needed. When we are conscious, then we are careful to choose words that support us and support those around us, right? We're in this together. There's a story I wanted to share that's kind of an interesting one about, the things that we believe. This one is, in the Middle Ages, a citizen was arrested by one of the barons and shut up in a dungeon in the baron's castle. The citizen was taken down dark stairs, down, 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 by a ferocious looking jailer who carried a great key a foot long. The door of the cell was opened and the citizen was thrust into a dark hole. The door shut with a bang, and there he was. He lay in the dark dungeon for 20 years. Each day the jailer came, opened the big door with a great creaking and groaning, thrust a pitcher of water and a loaf of bread in, and closed the door again. After 20 years, the prisoner decided he could not stand it any longer. He wanted to die, but he did not want to commit suicide. So he decided that when the jailer came the next day, he would attack him. The jailer would then kill him in self-defense, and thus his misery would end. He decided to examine the door carefully so as to be ready for the following day. Going over, he caught the handle and turned it. To his amazement, the door opened. Upon investigation, he found there was no lock on it. There never had been. For 20 years, he had been locked in, but only by his belief. Sometimes we're living in a prison of our own making. Well, always probably we're living in a prison of our own making. And what we need to understand or accept or realize is that we have the key. We have the way out. We have within us everything necessary to live a life that is fulfilling and satisfying, that we can move forward, but only to the degree that we allow ourselves to think in a new way, to accept that we are creative divine beings, fully, fully powerful. There's nothing about us that is limited, except thinking makes it so. If we believe that we do not have the skills necessary, we get to be right. If we think that we are locked in and locked down and there's no way to get out, we get to be right. If we believe we are powerful, courageous, dynamic, and divine, we get to be right. Whatever it is that we believe to be true is true for us. We can buy into the fear, the doubt, the worry. We can do like this poor person that got locked up for 20 years and didn't realize all he had to do was open the door. What door is it that you're ready to open that maybe you've been resisting? In what way are you ready now to stand out rather than fit in? Is there something in your life that you'd love to change? Maybe today's the day. Maybe now's the point of power for that decision. We're all living in some kind of prison, some of us in one kind, some in another, some in a prison of lack, some in a prison of remorse and resentment, some in a prison of blind, unintelligent fear, some in a prison of sickness. But always the prison is in our thought and not in the nature of things. There's no truth in our troubles. There's no reality in lack. There's no power in time or conditions to make us old or tired or sick, but a mental equivalent of freedom, a vibrant physical health, of true prosperity. We build that up by thinking it, having faith in it, and acting the part. See it, all the limitations will fade away in the moment that we stand out. Stand up. Be like the Nelson Mandelas of the world, the Gandhis. Be like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and stand up and stand out and create a life that is so powerful and positive and productive and brilliant and remarkable that even once you leave this planet, your legacy continues to change lives and alter circumstance and light the path for those who are ready to follow it. Every one of us is a powerful being. Every one of us has the potential for greatness in whatever area we are inspired by, because we're all unique and special, every one. And it's up to us to share our brand of uniqueness, to stand up and be what we were created to be. So what I would love for you to do this week is to just focus on an aspect of your life. You can write about it or do treatment, maybe even work with a practitioner, myself or Rev ME, or who else do we have around here that's already licensed? Probably nobody at the moment, but that's okay. We'll have some soon. And just work on that area. When you notice yourself being doubtful or fearful or feeling limited in any way, I invite you to do treatment and to see yourself as powerful, positive, and productive, clear, to really visualize what it is you desire so that you begin to create the container, a solid container, knowing that the universe has already said yes to that divine idea inside of you. It's the only answer it can ever give. Yes. Yes, my beloved. The old tapes that have been running, the stories you were told as children, the things that maybe we bought into because we didn't know any different because we were little. We bought into ideas of limitation and that somehow there was something about us that wasn't right or wasn't good. And all of that was merely a projection of someone else, either from their fear, their discomfort, their unknowing. But I'm here today to say it's time to lay it all down. Let it all go. Stand for who you are. be that light in the world that, creates a new path for others to follow. Stand in your true potential and be a beacon of hope for everyone who's ever had a struggle. And believe me, everyone has had a struggle, but it's up to us. It's up to us to stand out, to lead, to find our voice and to sing that song, to let the light shine so brightly that everyone around us needs to put on a pair of sunglasses to manage it. You are created perfect, whole, and complete. I invite you to shine brightly, beautifully. Believe in you and watch what happens in your world.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability. You are capable of anything. You can achieve any dream. Please don't limit yourself. Don't live your life limited. It's not all sadness and misery. Life's a challenge, but you will succeed. Take control of how you feel in every circumstance. Work on yourself daily. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. Whoa, whoa, You have to believe in yourself. You don't have to hide anything. You can be your true self. Don't need to follow society. Never forget that you're blessed. Give thanks for everything. Even the hard times will turn out to be blessings. No matter how you feel, you can learn from your pain. It's there to make you great. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. Whoa, whoa,
Well, we have a couple of announcements. We've got 2 classes running. Thursday night, we have Exploring Roots, which is covering the work of Ernest Holmes, Thomas Troward, Emma Curtis Hopkins, and it's really, really powerful. Emerson as well. And so we're taking things from there, coming up with seed ideas that we'd like to see grow and bloom, and then using these remarkable, brilliant teachers of old to help us to manifest and create the new reality. So very exciting class. And it just started last week, so you can still join this week if you choose. The other class that's running is on Saturdays, and that's the mental equivalent. So we've all been through a lot of challenges and things over the last few years, and this is going to help us to create a new container. So similar to some of what I was speaking about tonight. So that class runs on Saturdays. We had the first class last week, but if you want to join, we can send you the recording for that and have you up to speed for this week's class. So, sign up. Classes are great way to get to know each other as well. And when it comes to our tax receipts, which will be going out next month, make sure that we have your mailing address and everything. So if you want to drop us an email at admin@cslonthelake.com, just so we have your address or your email so that we can make sure we get tax receipts to you. All right, well, the law of circulation, giving activates receiving. Well, it's that time in our service when we do give back of our good. And I want to thank all of you for your generosity, for all that you've done over the last year and a bit that we've been doing this. And there are a number of ways that you can support CSL on the Lake. You can send an e-transfer to admin@CSL on the Lake, or you can go to our website and hit give, or you can mail in a check if that's the way you like to make your gifts. However you give, just know that it is appreciated and that it is used wisely and creatively and in ways that hopefully will help us to grow and expand and share this remarkable teaching. So thank you all. Well, let us join together in consciousness as we close out this service. I truly hope that something said or done has made a difference for you today. Let us join together. In the infinite, eternal one, I find life. I recognize this power and presence, and I allow myself to surrender fully into it, to acknowledge that it is my body, mind, and soul. And as I listen quietly, I hear that internal song. And I know it's right and it's good. And I give it voice. And I move forward in my life and on this journey with a sense of celebration and awe as I live fully and completely my unique and special nature. And in the process, acknowledge the unique and special nature of everyone around me. Seeing quirks and difference as blessings and beautiful. To begin to see things that are different from the way I do it as interesting and wonderful. And coming together in life with curiosity, with a deep sense of wanting to understand. So it is filled with love and peace and joy. Celebrating this moment is truly a gift and a blessing that I take all of these ideas and release them into the law of mind. Today is a great day. Filled with love and appreciation, I release this. I know it is done. And so it is. And let us close with a little of Eddie Watkins Jr.
is possible when you believe. Anything is possible when you believe. Faith can make a mountain move when you believe. Faith can make a mountain move when you believe. Don't you know that you can change a life when you believe? Don't you know that you can change a life when you believe in yourself? You believe in yourself. You believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe, gonna make a miracle when you believe. Gonna make a miracle. Gonna make a miracle when you believe. Gonna make a miracle. Everything you want to God when you believe. You want it, you got it. I said everything you want to God when you believe. You want it, you got it. In yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself. When you believe. Well, I believe in me. So I believe in you. Since we believe in each other, there ain't nothing we can't do. Nah, nah, nah. We can make a miracle. Make a miracle. 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 Thank you.